And it's very likely this guy might have access to $1 trillion.
Why is Saudi Arabia completely buying sport? Football, boxing, MMA, darts, snooker, Formula One. They're buying out every sport and paying major money. So why are they doing it?
If you go to Saudi Arabia, and they bought many Boeings, many planes, and I said to them, do you use financing for that? They didn't even know what the word meant. They have so much money. They have a fund, $21 trillion.
The Saudis are not, they're not normal people. They don't have normal money.
All the way back in 1971, Saudi Arabia establishes the Public Investment Fund, the PIF, a sovereign wealth fund now valued at over 900 billion, which later became the primary vehicle for its sports investments. The push into sports accelerated in 2016 with the launch of the Saudi Vision 2030, led by the Crown Prince, aiming to diversify the economy from oil, boost tourism and enhance public health. You may have seen the Saudi businessman with connections to the royal family talk about how he's worth 20 billion many years ago in an interview, and saying it was tough because he's not quite at the 20 billion mark.
How did you make your first billion?
First billion or million?
Billion. You worth how much today?
20 billion.
20 billion.
A bit below that, yeah.
You're not quite up to the 20 billion figure yet.
Now, when actually I was, but now it went below. It's tough.
Tough, but not that tough. This is the Prince's Palace, 317 rooms. Finished 2 years ago at a cost of more than $100 million.
They want to improve their economy and get into sports and get people out of their rooms and actually doing stuff and attending events, targeting a rise in physical activity from 13% to 40% by 2030 and elevate its global influence as a country. In 2018, Saudi Arabia signed a 10-year deal with WWE to host annual wrestling events.
So on behalf of His Excellency,
by 2019, the kingdom entered the boxing scene with a major event hosting Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, heavyweight title match dubbed the Clash of Duns. With 100 million in appearance fees the same year, Saudi brought Formula One to the kingdom, attracting international tourists.
Just a few years ago, all this would have been illegal. Public entertainment was banned, and unmarried men and women were not allowed to socialize.
Saudi Arabia, for all the time that I've known it, until about the last 5 or 6 years, has been a society where public space was ruled by religious police. What I found so hard to grapple with was just how normal it all felt. I don't understand how you can live with one set of values and then supplant them with another as if nothing had really happened.
In 2021, the PIF expanded by acquiring an 80% stake in Newcastle United, an English Premier League club, for over 400 million. And obviously people had mixed opinions about Saudi investing heavily into football clubs in the UK.
Everybody that's got half a brain looks at Saudi Arabia and goes, do you really want these people, with respect, a murderous regime, owning a beautiful football asset like an English football club? And really, in the cold light of day, put the money to one side? The answer should be no. But that's not the world we live in. We live in the real world. So now we're in a situation where these people do own one of our most beautiful football clubs. And we have to get on with it and understand it and make sense of it and try to find some sort of management of English football, not to lose the value of English football.
Signaling ambitions in international football. Also in 2021, the PIF launched a golf series, investing 54 million in its first event, disrupting the PGA Tour and becoming a big player.
Money has spoken, money has won. And basically what is happening is that Saudi Arabia is not only whitewashing its image by investing in sports and by infiltrating this industry, it is in the long run also very dangerous, because once we pass on from soft power, that is Saudi Arabia buying a new image by pretending it is opening up and that they're hosting a sports event, now afterwards in the long run they will have the money, they will have control, they will have influence.
In 2022, the PIF invested into domestic football strategy, taking major stakes in 4 Saudi pro leagues, with big clubs like Al Nassr. 2.3 billion is spent to elevate the league. A pivotal moment came in December 2022 when Ronaldo signed for Al Nassr on a 2.5-year deal, $200 million a year tax-free contract, becoming the world's highest paid athlete. This was such a massive move for them. Not only was they paying life-changing ridiculous money, they was even bending their rules in the country to suit Ronaldo.
Saudi Arabia are changing the law for Cristiano Ronaldo. So there's a law in Saudi Arabia which forbids couples to live together unless they are married. And guess what? Cristiano Ronaldo is not married to his partner Georgina yet. And obviously, before Ronaldo made his massive move to Saudi, he needed to make sure that he can live with his girlfriend. And that's why the country of Saudi Arabia is bending the marriage law just so Ronaldo can live with his girlfriend in the country. Imagine being that massive that the whole country is bending their rules just for you.
His debut in January 2023 sparked a transfer surge. They spent $957 million on stars like Benzema and Neymar coming to the league, increasing the stadium's attendance by 20%. Footballers all around football were receiving offers of double, triple, 10x what they're earning regularly, and people actually mocking it on interviews saying they got offers like this guy.
Saudi League shout you, 600 bags a week. You said, are you dead? Be real, before I signed for Ajax, I had an offer from Saudi. So yeah, and I didn't sleep for 5 days. See the combos me and God. My God will never fail me, you know. Hey, see the loose. It's different though. When you hear interest is one thing. When you see it in paper, writing, you start feeling things in your body. Your elbows start itching. Everything starts itching. Bro, I didn't sleep for 5 days. I was telling my girl that we were sitting in bed breaking it down. Hey, chat. Yo! Hey, I don't know if you might have had this before, like, you're about to get a certain amount of money, yeah? But you haven't got it yet. But you're spending it.
In 2023, Saudi Arabia's boxing investment grew under promoter Turki Al-Sheikh, who organised high-profile fights. With over $3.5 billion invested in the sport since 2019, it's now shot up to around $6.3 billion. December 2023, Saudi Arabia was named as the host of the 2034 World Cup, solidifying its football ambition. But certain people from certain demographics, in particular LGBTQ communities, are worried about them possibly visiting and what would be the repercussions of that.
The host of the FIFA World Cup 2034 will be Saudi Arabia.
The 2034 Men's Football World Cup will be held in Saudi Arabia, FIFA has confirmed. Here's what that means for LGBTQ plus rights. In Saudi Arabia, same-sex sexual activity is prohibited under Sharia law. Both men and women are criminalized under this law, and the maximum punishment is the death penalty.
They are actually trying to embrace women in sports in their country. 2024, Saudi Arabia hosted the finals for women's tennis and expanded the FIFA Club World Cup, aligning with the vision for 2030 and focusing on women's sports and global events, and the boxing has continued to thrive, with Riyadh hosting major fights, further establishing the city as a global sports hub. The PIF sports investments continue to grow and plan to expand into boxing, motorsport, events to drive tourism and economic growth. They're getting involved in the world of MMA, they're getting involved in the world of darts, snooker, all at the highest level, paying the highest amounts of fees. Luke Littler was involved in the dart situation. They had Ronnie Sutherland playing snooker in their country as well. Top MMA fights are also happening with Saudi, in contacts with Conor McGregor to do a boxing match and hosting UFC events, and even the PFL.
How about me versus Manny here in Saudi?
Mate,
how does that sound here?
I'm there to watch
now, wouldn't you think Manny should have to come up to my weight, considering it's his sport?
You know what?
Wouldn't you think that's what a man would do versus
Money
what
talk.
a mouse would do?
Money talk.
They have a few main goals. Well, they obviously want to reduce the reliance on oil, which is 65% of their GDP in 2016. They want to grow tourism and entertainment, with sports projected to contribute $22 billion by 2030. Hosting events like the Grand Prix and Ronaldo signing and major boxing matches counters human rights criticism and projects a broader image. They're increasing physical activity and national pride through competitive leagues and events, with 150,000 sports-related jobs by 2030. Investments in clubs like Newcastle and the SPL and boxing events aim to create sustainable income through sponsorships and broadcasting and tourism.
Había que ir para la Arabia y a abrir la cajita, y así que no me equivoqué.
If you're thinking about one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds in the world, would you rather have them as a partner or an enemy? At the end of the day, money talks, and you'd rather have them as a partner.
Sports in Saudi will benefit from these collaborations and these ownership.
Football, F1, boxing, golf. It's just some of the sports that Saudi Arabia has heavily invested in. It's threatening to change sport as we know it.
Obviously, there's been parts of criticism where they're spending so much money. Human Rights Watch and the Council of Foreign Relations have accused Saudi Arabia of spending $6.3 billion on sports since 2021 to launder its image amid abuses like the murder of a man called Jamal and the repression of women's rights and activists and executions at a 30-year high in 2023.
Several women's rights activists in Saudi Arabia remain in jail. One Saudi teacher is facing the death sentence for social media posts, and 196 people were executed in the kingdom in 2022 alone. So while MBS says he doesn't care about sports washing accusations, the big question is whether sports fans, athletes, brands, and international sports federations will care enough to object to the kingdom's spending spree. So far, though, it looks like money is winning, and Saudi Arabia has a lot more to spend.
It's not only PR, but a state strategy to normalize ties with Western entities, despite FIFA's human rights commitment. There was a lot of controversy around the World Cup situation. It said that Saudi Arabia's unopposed bid for the 2034 FIFA World Cup was awarded in a fast-tracked process. It sparked bribery allegations. The president faced claims of lobbying with Riyadh and manipulating rules that would allow the bid despite Asia's recent hosting, Qatar. Human Rights Watch again called it a corporate manslaughter due to risk of migrant workers, wage theft and unsafe conditions. By 2025, preparations for the stadiums in extreme heat drew further backlash, labeling it the ultimate sports washing spectacle. Despite a few people speaking out, we know the number one rule in the world is universal: money talks.
The net worth of the royal family here, that to me is probably one of the most outstanding families to ever do it. They literally built this entire sandhill into an absolute utopia. It's absolute bananas. And you look at their net worth on Forbes and it says $2 billion. To make $2 billion a day. You have no idea. These people are sitting on trillions of dollars, liquid, whether it's in cash or in liquid petroleum, black gold. They're sitting on trillions of dollars.
The £300 million plus stake in Newcastle bypassed Premier League owners' test due to good faith clause and raising a pirate club, but concerns over state control. The Embassy UK called it blatant sports washing, linking it to their ties to the Crown Prince and accused of overseeing abuses. In 2024, US senators investigated PIF's US dealings, including blocking subpoenas to consultants like McKinsey amid broader anti-corruption purge allegations where assets were seized from the elites in 2017 that fund the 2030 vision. There's been controversy around their league as well, the teams Al Nassr and the others, and the $957 million investment in the transfers of Ronaldo, Benzema and Neymar were criticised as state orchestrated to inflate the leagues artificially. Reports tied to this with their 2030 vision, with them trying to absorb more clubs in the football world but failed. In 2025, the league shift to younger talents and signing people like Duran for $79 million continued scrutiny over financial stability and the money laundering risk. The Ronaldo deal made him the highest paid athlete but was flagged for blood money funding the Saudi border killings of migrants. And his new deal he got there recently, the contract is even more ridiculous than the first one.
Over 2 years, Ronaldo will earn £492 million. That is £500,000 a day. That is £178 million in wages a year. He's getting a signing on fee of £24.5 million. If he stays for a second year, that will increase to £38 million. He's also getting a 15% stake in Al Nassr, £4 million if he's the top scorer in the Saudi Pro League again, £8 million if Al Nassr win the title. He's getting 16 members of staff. That includes 3 drivers, 4 housekeepers, 2 chefs, 3 gardeners, 4 security guards, and he's also getting the use of a private jet as well. So, extraordinary figures being reported not just here in the US, but also in England and in Spain as well.
Riyadh has hosted a lot of the top fights, the Joshua fights, the Fury and Ngannou. And boxing fights for the Riyadh season have been all around the world as well. Crawford and Canelo was a big one recently on Netflix. Under promoting Turkish sheikhs drew $3.5 billion investment. Critics say the alleged massive fees buy legitimacy, with 2025 TKO Group, the owner UFC and WWE partnership, seen as extending sports washing in MMA and boxing and having a direct ownership of both sports overall. There's been no briberies proven, but they definitely control the boxing well.
This man is changing boxing as we know it. Under the instruction of His Highness, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, His Excellency, Turki al-Sheikh, is shaking up the boxing world. But who is he? He is an advisor of the royal court, under the rank of Minister and Chairman of General Authority for Entertainment. He's also a distinguished poet, producer, writer, lyricist, and, lucky for us, boxing fan. The man knows entertainment, and that's exactly what he's bringing to the great kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the boxing world. His Excellency might just be boxing's next great deal maker. He's already brought us big fights, such as Fury and Ngannou, Day of Reckoning, plus the undisputed showdown between Fury and Usyk next month. He even wants to make Tank vs. Haney happen. And if anyone can do it, it's His Excellency. It's clear. His Excellency will not allow any obstacle to get in the way from making the biggest fights happen. And he and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will do whatever it takes to bring boxing back to where it belongs.
They really make a spectacle out of boxing. They have Ronaldo ringside, all the top celebrities, Neymar, everyone you can imagine in Saudi. They get them to go ringside at these boxing events, and it creates more of an atmosphere. There's a lot of good that they're doing in boxing. They're making all the big fights happen because they've got the money to put forward. But with Dana White now, it seems like they're trying to assert some control over boxing, which is causing some backlash. In the year 2000, they created the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. The federal law protects boxers against exploitative contracts, limits promoters sanctioning body ties, and caps exclusive deals at 1 year, inspired by Muhammad Ali's career struggles. Now, apparently Dana White is making efforts to remove this act, and it's caused some controversy in the boxing world and some back and forths that we're going to get into. Eddie Hearn and Dana White going head to head. In 2022, Eddie Hearn advised Dana White against engaging in trash talk with Jake Paul. The worst thing is trying to chat back to him. No direct conflict, but Hearn acknowledges White's promotional prowess. They actually had a mutual respect at the start. Articles compare White and Hearn as top promoters. Hearn praises White's UFC success. Dana's done incredible with the UFC, a master at building a global brand, and White calls Hearn a solid promoter in passing boxing media. So this was them getting along. Many times they complimented each other. Eddie Hearn even went to the headquarters of the UFC. But things have come to a little bit of conflict just recently. Now, March 11th, 2025, Zuffa Boxing's launch. White and Turki al-Sheikh announced TKO's boxing venture aiming to fix boxing with the UFC-like model. White criticizes the Ali Act's restrictions and Hearn fires back. Boxing is not broken. Dana's control model won't work here. He adds a compliment: I respect Dana's ambition, but boxing's a different beast. On the Errol Hawanu show, Eddie Hearn called the UFC tired and boasts, these guys wouldn't lace my boots in boxing promotion, yet he nods to White's success. Dana's a legend in MMA, no question. He's built a monster. And Dana White responds on X, Eddie's great at what he does, but let's see who runs boxing better. And Eddie Hearn supports the original Muhammad Ali Act. It protects fighters. Why change it? He praises White's hustle. Dana's a grinder like me, but this act stuff is off base. In June, White and Hearn meet at Riyadh Season, a boxing event co-promoted by al-Sheikh. They have a brief handshake and a good chat, and Hearn later said that Dana's a cool guy in person, sharp as hell. And White tells reporters Eddie's a pro, he knows his stuff, will compete, but I like the guy. No Ali Act talk reported, but the meeting sets a cordial tone. August 2025, Dana White co-promoting with Zuffa and Hearn meet at Canelo vs Terence Crawford. The announcement's in Vegas and they exchange compliments publicly. September 11, 2025, the California State Athletic Commission postpones the act vote after 100% public opposition. Critics call a TKO control scheme. White avoids specifics but snaps at a reporter at an event.
Why then do you want to make sweeping changes to the Muhammad Ali Reform Act that is meant to protect fighters, to bring about a business model that currently has your company already paid out $375 million in antitrust lawsuits and has 2 potential pending class action lawsuits on the way as well?
Well, this is obviously a long discussion. If you want to talk to me about that, set up an interview. This isn't about me and my business. It's about these 2 guys on set.
Eddie Hearn had said on the Stomping Ground, Dana White wants to be the CEO of boxing. I'll prove that I'm the better promoter. He's not steamrolling us. He softens with praise. Dana is a genius for what he's done in the UFC, and I've got to respect that. Dana White embraces the rivalry. Eddie's talking smack. I love the guy. He's awesome at his job, but I'll show him in boxing. The main people that benefit overall are the athletes that are getting more money than ever on all the top sports. Saudi Arabia has spent tens of billions of dollars in sports since 2016, with figures including $51 billion on sports properties, $30 $38 billion in gaming through Savvy Games Group and over $6 billion on sponsorship agreements between 2021 and 2023, and recent investments in esports also led to the $55 billion acquisition of Electronic Arts by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. So now it seems they even own the FIFA game. They actually own 8.2% of Nintendo, the largest outside investor as of 2023. They've made various other investments like Capcom, Nexon, Embracer Group, Nitanic, Neom, a $500 billion megacity project on the Red Sea coast. The Red Sea project, $15 billion in luxury tourist developments with 50 hotels and 8,000 rooms by 2030.
One of the most ambitious projects the world has ever seen. Development of the line is progressing rapidly.
The first phase of the line will be complete by 2030. We are committed.
A transformative new city being built in Neom, Saudi Arabia.
We've done a lot of the foundation work, literally and figuratively.
This foundation will underpin a city that will set new benchmarks for quality of life to create a more positive future.
They're building an $8 billion entertainment and leisure city near Riyadh featuring theme parks and cultural venues. They're building a King Abdul financial district, a rehab business hub with offices, residency and hotels. They want to get more into live events and concerts and even own 2.5% of Live Nation. They own a massive $1.3 billion stake, 3.8% of the publishers of Grand Theft Auto and NBA 2K, a company called 2Take Interactive.
Video games.
Oh, what's that? Video games. You're a big gamer.
Since I'm a kid, I love it.
Really?
Yeah, it disconnects me from reality.
Yeah, not just for fun. The kingdom is literally building a city for gamers.
And as I make this video on YouTube, they actually own a large percentage of Google, 1.2% of their portfolio, a $4 billion investment in the company, and a $2.3 billion stake in Uber, supporting ride expansion within the Middle East. So they have money and they have investments that total over $300 billion in non-domestic assets alone, emphasizing sustainable growth, job creation, e.g. 1 million jobs they want by 2030, and overall reducing oil dependency from 65% to around 40%. Strategies include 6 investment pools: domestic listed, unlisted companies, Giga-projects, real estate, infrastructure, fixed income and equities, and international opportunities. Controversies like reputation laundering persist, similar to sports critique.
And that's for their protection, but if you look in terms of dollars, $3 billion, $533 million, $525 million, that's peanuts for you.
Their steady income is obviously coming from oil. In 2024, they made $440 billion, a slight drop from the $494 in 2023, and a net profit of $120 billion. 2025, again, $450 to $470 billion, assuming production ramps up and the prices stabilize at $75 a barrel is what we can expect. So they're still generating a lot of money as a country from oil anyway.
Here's one of my most hottest take. It's gonna make a lot of people mad, but I think it's not a terrible take. Why does the whole world, especially the West, act like their money is legitimate? It's all good. It's made. They've earned the right to have it, to spend it, when most of it is stolen. But when the Saudi Arabia, when the people in the Middle East spend their oil money, oh my God, the dirty stolen, the dirty oil money. Wow, I can't believe that. I think it's odd. I don't like the concept of it, and I think it makes the points usually mute whenever I hear them.
So it all comes down to this. Obviously, they want their own country to improve massively, but would you visit Saudi Arabia as a tourist if you do not live there to watch your favorite sport? Or would you potentially live in the city one day once this massive vision is built that they have for the country by 2030? An interesting discussion about the Saudis to top off this video is that they're some of the richest people in the world, but they're not actually ranked on Forbes, is what Joe Rogan had said. It'd be interesting to see if everyone did give their information to the likes of the Forbes list, who would be the richest in the world.
Someone said to me that when you look at the richest men in the world, like they look at like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all those
George Soros, all those
billionaire
dudes.
characters,
Yeah.
that they're not really the richest men in the world. That the real richest men in the world are these Saudi guys.
Yep.
and a lot of these oil guys, but they're monarchs, and they don't have to disclose their wealth.
They never do. Yeah.
It's not like they're the CEO of a corporation. No. They're head of a royal family.
They owe no government any indication of what their earnings are.
So this dude who knows one of those cats was telling me that he's probably a trillionaire.
Fuck me.
And it's very likely this guy might have access to $1 trillion.
Over the next couple of years, we'll 100% see Saudi conquering more and more sports. They can outbid any company. They want control of the sports to in return promote their country. If you picture the US government or the UK government or any country that has a lot of money, like China even, back in sports in a country just for people to go there, they have unlimited funds to put behind it. And with Saudi having the trillions in worth anyway, they're going to monopolize sport as a whole and have complete control. And they want to do this to the point where people consider it a good place to go and eventually live.